I was about to start this and realized that I have a one of those Bissell cleaners behind me, little sweeper. So I'm trying to hide it with my head. But yeah, I'm here with a new testimony. I'm just in that moment of giving you one. See, this is how they see. You can see that if I move my head, you can see it. But yeah, I'm in the moment that I feel to post a new episode today in the testimony. So in the testimony series. Um, so where do I want to start? I've been doing a lot of reflecting lately, and it's all really, really good stuff because a year ago, uh, life was so different for me a year ago. I was a workaholic. I never found time for myself. I never had that time to really just sit down and relax long enough. And just all the changes and all the transitions that I've gone through just in this past year alone has really changed. And just thinking back on the past year, or the past 2 years actually, um, I went through an illness. Um, I mentioned this a lot in the second season of this series. And if you haven't had a chance to watch season 2 of this series, you know, you may watch that if you like. I talk a lot about mental health, and that is what pretty much happened to me a year ago. I went through all these, I went through an illness that led up to a lot more than what I bargained for. But to make a long story short, that was a memory for me. And I remember a lot of the great things that happened to me last year as well. And that's where I started looking back and remembering those great things that came out of a year ago to where I'm now. I met best-selling author Beverly Lewis. She writes Amish stories. They're like more of an inspirational Amish uh, fictional stories. And I had the chance to meet her, and she was such a bright, bright, shining light, and just a wonderful woman in general. And I remember that very, very well last year. Um, it was the third time for me to speak at my local library during an authors event that they had last year, and that was actually the last time um, I will be doing those new author events, since I've become a little more established at what I do and what I love doing, which is writing and connecting with you and having that that platform to give you hope in your life, and a sense of joy, and uh, just feelings and emotion and passion, because that's what I write with. I write with a lot of passion in my heart, and it's just who I am as a human being. But don't get me wrong, there's a whole other side to me. I'm very goofy. I can be very silly. Uh, um, a little known fact about me is the fact that if I end up with writer's block when I'm writing, or if I'm in the middle of working on a manuscript, I get, and I end up stopping because it's just not flowing the way it's supposed to. I stop what I'm doing and I head over to my Spotify playlists, and I have quite a few of them. So I pick up random songs from my playlists and I'll listen to them, and it gets me pumped and energized to feeling more mental again, mentally sane, shall I say. And then it just helps me get back into that focus of writing where I had left off, because that's what writer's block is. You might be writing a paragraph or a sentence, and then all of a sudden you stop. And I'm like, oh, and you just completely lose track. Or if I get distracted by noise, we'll do it too. So that's what I do. That's a little known fact about me about that when it comes to writing. And it really helps me a lot. So, but yeah, just the changes alone in the past year have been just really phenomenal for me. And I stepped out of my comfort zone a little more last year and entered a photography contest. That was a really huge highlight for me, to step out of my comfort zone a little bit more. And because I don't like to be complacent. I don't like that. I don't like being in a comfort zone. I like to take risks every now and then and really step out of the box on that level. And so the photography contest I entered was so much fun. I didn't win anything, but just the sense of doing something new and different was really fun for me. So that was a highlight. Those were my highlights last year. And someone came into my life a year ago. It'll be a year on the 13th of this month. And this person really, really, really saw me so differently than most people would. And so, yeah, just those incredible moments, those mean a lot to me. You mean a lot to me out there, the people who take the time to sit down and watch these testimonial videos. It really does. It means so much to me. And I hope that you are able to take something away from them, the best that you can, or whatever life situation you're put in. We all go through changes. We all go through that transition in our lives. I've been through a few of them, and this was one of my transitions, just in this past year alone. So a lot of things have changed, and a lot more changes are in store for me ahead. And if you don't know anything about the book series, I'll give you a little brief overview of that. I started writing in 1998 because I was going through a lot of personal struggle. And I was about 19, 20 years old. I was going from teenager to young adult. And I was, in situations that I had to do, that I needed to do to make something out of myself. But that wasn't my path. That wasn't my goal. In fact, I didn't have any goals in mind. I didn't have any plans. I didn't know that sense of direction. And so all of what I went through led me down a road of complete darkness, actually. And that was the first time I went through a really bad depression. And I suffered with that for about close to 4 years. And I learned a lot through that with my writing, because that's how I always internalized everything. Everything came out in words and never in my actions. I had a very hard time opening up to people because I have trusting issues. So that was how it all began. I never really thought of releasing my work. I didn't know anything about it. I tried the traditional way with sending inquiries to traditional publishers. They rejected me, believe it or not. I had 4 rejections, but then there were also 2 publishers that wanted to publish my work, but they wanted the rights to my works. I wouldn't let that happen. And then after a while, a friendship emerged, a new friendship that I met someone online, and I want to thank her for that. Michelle Brumble, wonderful person, wonderful person. She had mentioned something to me about ebook, and I knew nothing about this. I was very green about it, so I had to look into it and do the research behind it and what it detailed. I didn't know that there was what kind of work was involved with it. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is this is harder than I thought. It was not easy whatsoever. And so I decided, well, I'm going to self-publish my work. And I did. And I released that first book in 2013. And that book is my baby. That's where it all began for me, which was the Poetry Diaries. And then it just kind of morphed into a complete series. And I'm currently working on the 6th book of this series. This book exposes a lot more about me than the previous books that I've released a part of this series. And I'm really excited to get it complete and finished. The official release date is September 14th. And so I'm really, really excited about it. I'm kind of nervous about it too, because I expose so much of myself in this, the transition, the changes, this person that came into my life, the way things have really fallen into place for me, the support and encouragement from him, and the true unadulterated love that came out of it. And that came very unexpected, very unexpected. And I just feel like this is where I need to be in my life, and I need to be writing, and I need to continue writing because it's something that's so passionate and about me. I carry everything on my heart, my soul. And now that it's fully wide open, I just feel like I could conquer anything now and really give you my heart and my work, my heart, my passion, and all of this. It really is the most wonderful feeling. I hope you find your meaningful purpose. You know, no matter how old you are, you you will eventually find that. It's having hope and faith in that, and that's where my work comes out of, is giving you a sense of hope, and that there is faith behind it, and there nothing comes expectedly. It all comes unexpectedly at different times in our lives, and it just it makes me so happy, and I just so so grateful for all of it, and appreciate everybody who continues to support this and read the books. And um, so that's just kind of like a brief overview of where I've been. I've gone through a lot of stuff. So I'll talk to y'all soon.